Good afternoon, traders. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. And for this special edition of Trade Talks, we are hosting Ion Energy Group all the way in from Houston, Texas, to ring the closing bell on the Nasdaq market. Sid and Kyle, I want to thank you so much for joining me at MarketSite. Tell us a bit more about Ion Energy Group.
Sure. Ion was started back in 2008. We are the largest natural gas options brokerage shop in the world. We also have a very strong presence in crude oil options, naphtha, LPG, both financial and physical, and olefins and various other products energy related.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Nasdaq Energy Futures launched July 2015, and you guys were the first to ever trade a natural gas contract on NFX.
That's right. That's right. We officially were the first to put through a trade on the NFX, and typically when an exchange like the NFX comes into the space, it's a good thing for the space, and we were very happy to support the NFX and very happy that we were kind of the first to put a trade through with them.
Well, the markets are constantly evolving, and we want to know what type of competitive advantage does an exchange like NFX offer your clients?
Sure. Well, typically when an exchange like the NFX comes into a space, what it does is it reduces transaction costs across the board. And this is generally speaking a good thing because it increases trading volume and increases liquidity, which is very important.
That was my next question to you. How important is liquidity in this industry? And natural gas is a relatively liquid market.
Natural gas is relatively liquid. More times, sometimes more than other, but liquidity is everything for the environment, and it's hard to have an efficient market without having proper liquidity environment. So the NFX is so important from that sense. It's a liquidity provider for our clients and for the market in general.
All right, and Kyle, let's get a little bit more fundamental with you. It's been
Sure.
a pretty interesting time for the natural gas market, especially as the U.S. is becoming a net exporter. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Historically, the U.S. was a huge importer of natural gas. Obviously, early in the decade, there was a lot of focus on building import facilities rather than export facilities. And now Cheniere's actually in the process of commissioning their 4th train to export natural gas around the world. So it's been a monumental shift just over the last 10 to 15 years in how things have changed.
Right, so you will certainly see a demand increase on the natural gas side.
Absolutely. That is gas that right now Cheniere's been averaging a little over 2 BCF a day in about a 75 BCF market of gas that's going out of the country and across the globe. So it's absolutely a new market for U.S. suppliers and producers that had never been available and open to them before.
And on the flip side, we have the crude oil market, which it's a much different story than it was in 2014 because of the oversupply in the market.
Absolutely. In stark contrast, whereas the U.S. is now becoming an exporter of natural gas, crude imports are falling dramatically. And once the Jones Act was changed, the restriction on crude exports was alleviated, the U.S. is now exporting crude as well. So just been a monumental shift over the last 5 to 10 years across the energy space.
All right, and so I'll wrap it up with you. What are some issues and trends within the energy market space as it relates to market structure?
Well, I think what everyone, at least in natural gas, is focused on right now is there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between the price and the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean we're dealing with a pretty tight market right now, fundamentally speaking, and the price isn't really reflecting that. So,
So should prices be higher or lower?
Well, I think the prices, generally speaking, should be higher based on the current fundamentals. And that's been kind of the market sort of has, been expecting to see sort of a price increase. We haven't yet seen that. And I think we're kind of lining up to see that as we head into winter unless something drastic changes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for both joining me at the MarketSite. And traders, as always, thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.